Hi guys, we're here on my YouTube, on me and Kenneth's YouTube channel with my friend
Hello.
Joshua Ramirez. So just a brief review. Me and Kenneth wanted to do a segment called Reality, which is us basically giving y'all real life stories of being a Christian and how difficult it is, but it's possible to get through it. And so one of the stories that has impacted us as a church and as a family in God the most is the story of Josh. I think I'm gonna start off easy. We're gonna do like a little interview, be fancy with it. So hi Josh.
Hi.
We're gonna start off, like I said, soft. How old are you and how were you raised?
I'm 23 at the moment. I was raised in a Christian household my whole life till now. I mean, still Christian, but you know. So I grew up in church, so I knew, you know, the rules, I guess you can say, and how to be a Christian.
Okay. So jump a little bit into it.
Alright.
Before everything, what role do you feel God played in your life, in your everyday life, and what were your plans for yourself?
Well, growing up, it wasn't much until I was introduced to music inside of church, and I played the drums most of the time. And I thought, you know, maybe music would be something that God has in store for me, to bring a ministry through music and to be able to teach and preach through music, like a lot of people would like to do. So I think that is or was maybe my role as a Christian, to spread the gospel through music.
So also before everything, what were your plans for your life?
To be honest, growing up I didn't have a lot of plans. You know, it's hard when you're in church and you're a Christian and you see all these things and all the different things people are doing, and you're like, man, I would like to do that, I'd like to do this, but then you come to a point where you're like, oh, maybe I can't do that because it's not gonna, you know, satisfy God or satisfy my parents that are Christian or all that stuff. So one thing was I wanted to be a firefighter, was one big thing that I wanted to be in life. And then there comes a time where, you know, I got sick, which is something we're going to talk about today.
Yeah. And we're going to dive a little bit deeper. What was the first thing that popped into your head when the doctors told you the news? And for those who don't know you, what exactly did the doctors tell you?
Well, it started out where I was feeling sick. I thought it was like the flu, maybe a bad cold. And I ignored it for a lot of days. I didn't, you know, I was just taking, you know, like Advils, medicines, just to cope whatever was feeling terrible. And then it was a Friday, finally I had told my older brother, you know, take me to the hospital because I felt terrible. And I went to the hospital and the nurses were like, you know, how long have you been feeling ill? And I was like, about a week. And she was telling me that all my blood counts were very low, that, you know, things were looking very out of order. So that's when they, you know, they put me in a room and, you know, started to medicate me and hydrate me. And the very first night I was given blood, which was the first time ever, and, you know, I was just kind of confused, like, am I really that sick, or is it just something simple? You know, and a lot went through my mind, but I wasn't so worried yet until they did a lot of tests, still couldn't figure things out. I was transferred to a different hospital where, you know, they did another test and it came back positive for leukemia, which is a cancer that's made in the blood. And, my thoughts were either this is the end of my life or the beginning of a new chapter that is going to be, a hard one. Mm-hmm. And so in the beginning, my thoughts were just, growing up as a Christian. I got to have faith. I got to stay strong. I got to go through this with the mindset of that I'm going to come out of this, greater than before. And, God will have all glory. But then as time went on, as things got harder, I saw myself falling, not having as much faith, not always believing that God was going to be there. And, it struck me, and, really I had to fight spiritually and physically to understand that God was going to be there and everything was going to be okay.
So I feel like too many people in our church and in your family,
Mm-hmm.
Watching you go through everything that you went through with the faith that you went through it, it enlarged our faith, and just watching you, seeing you, go through everything with a smile. Like every time we went to go visit you at the hospital, there was not one time where, like, even though we know you felt bad, you still smiled, you still joked and laughed with us. You were saying how it was hard. Was there ever a moment where you felt like you were doubting God's purpose and everything? And how did you cope with that? What helped you get through that?
Yeah, there was quite a bit of times where I wanted to throw in the towel because physically I felt that I couldn't do it. Mm-hmm. Physically I felt like I was a burden to people. I felt like I was just in the way at the time. And then, as you're there, in times where you're alone and you really get to, pray and talk to God, you end up understanding that it's a process and that, just have faith and be patient in God, that He's never late, always on time. And things get hard where we're human, we get scared and we get to the point where we don't think that we're going to make it. But, God always shows up on time, and He always knows when, when you need that shoulder to cry on, He always sends that person. Or, if there's a biblical scripture that you've read and it just, bam, enlightened your day, or a song or something that speaks to you. And a lot of that is what helped me get through those moments where I felt like giving in.
One of the stories that really amazes me to this day, is the pastor has said it a couple of times in his preaches, is whenever your dad came to you one time and he told you that it should have been him.
Right.
Your reaction, how was it? What exactly did you tell him?
Well, yeah, I do remember. Mm-hmm. And I know he said it in a way of, like, man, I wish it was me in this and not you. And I told him, God puts certain people in places that He knows they'll be able to handle it. And I told my dad, you don't like hospitals. You don't like to be able to provide for your family. And so if he was in my position, he wouldn't be able to provide for us. He wouldn't be able to do the things that he likes to do. And I told him, don't worry, support me, pray for me, and know that God's will be done at the end of the day.
That's amazing. I'm gonna go into your personal life a little bit.
Okay.
How long have you and Laura been together?
We have been together 7 years total. Mm-hmm. We've been married for 5 months. 7 months. 7 months been married. But 7 years total.
It's amazing. 7 years and 7 months.
7 years and 7 months.
That's amazing. Laura was there before and she fought by your side through everything. Do you feel like in some way she had like a big part in you keeping up with your faith? And do you recommend other people who might be going through what you're going through to try and keep people close to them during this time?
Yes. I did tell her, you know, if anything bad were to happen, you know, to move on with her life. We were young, you know, we were, you know, still getting to know each other and stuff, but, you know, I found out what real love was when she stood by my side. Knowing she had school going on and had to work and pay for things, and she literally quit everything just to be there for me, is when you know that somebody really cares for you. And I wouldn't say to keep everyone around, but when there's a person that really wants to be there, you know, give that person that space to be there for you and with you. Because when they truly show you that they care, that they're gonna be there all the time. All the time. They're gonna be checking up on you, calling you, being there, bringing you things, and that's what she did for me. She, you know, it was like, you know, that best friend that's always there, but, you know, that was my girlfriend at the time, or fiance. And, you know, not that she has to prove anything to me, but she proved to me and to my family, to her family, that she's a person to be dedicated to someone when she really wants to.
It's true. Their story is amazing. It's the best. Another day. So after the doctors told you that, you know, that you had cancer, how long did they say that you had?
So it was an acute leukemia, meaning the symptoms and everything were gonna occur very fast, and the sickness would get worse, you know, really fast if I didn't treat it. They didn't give me an exact time of how long I had to live. They just said if I don't treat it as soon as possible, things will get worse, and you most likely won't make it through the process. So when they told me, you know, my only thing was I want to live as long as I can, so, you know, we're going to start the process right away. And that's what I decided, my family decided, and the doctors would say it's the best thing to do is to start it right away and not to wait any longer.
Okay. And what is one of the worst moments do you feel that was during this whole process? And again, how do you feel, you know, you got through that?
Maybe my first encounter with the chemotherapy that I have taken was pretty scary. It took a toll on my body that I didn't. They told me it could happen, but I didn't expect it to happen. And so when it was happening, you know, I thought things were going wrong already. I was scared, but, you know, as I said before, my mental status was, you know, God got this. You know, I'm not going to worry too much. And, you know, a lot of my family members, they cried, they were scared and everything, but I told them, you know, just chill. If I have to go through this, you know, God's going to take me through it, you know, whether it hurts or not, but He's going to get me through it. And most of the chemo was the worst part. And that was pretty much it. You know, after a while, I guess you can say you get used to it, which you really don't, but it's not fun. But yeah.
Okay. And what Bible verse do you feel like best described your situation or
Philippians 4:13 is one of my favorite verses, which means you can do all things through Christ who gives you strength. And I based that situation, that process, off of that verse, because, you know, every day was a struggle, but if I kept my strength in Christ, I knew I'd be able to do anything. And, you know, pretty much I read it almost every day just to keep myself motivated and to keep myself going.
And if there is somebody like, watching this video right now and is going exactly through what you're going through, what would be some words that you would tell them?
Well, Christian or not Christian, stay positive in this situation. Don't lose hope. It may seem like the end of the road, but the way you determine to take life, whether you want it that bad, then you just keep going and you don't give up. If you don't know Christ, I would say to get to know Christ. Read a Bible or ask a friend. There's always something more out there that you should bring into your life. And I would say it's God, the gospel. So yeah.
And would you like to add anything, a song or a quote that you feel kind of gave you the extra push?
There's so many songs that help me. There's so many things, but if you involve yourself in that, how do you say, in music in general, gospel music in general, is something that'll help you get through. Sometimes you pray and you talk to God and you can't really get it across, or you can't get something off your chest. But when you listen to a song that has the perfect words that you need to hear, and it helps you. And there's so many songs out there, so many Bible verses. Some people might say the Bible's boring, but if you really dig into it and get certain verses and certain books, and you start reading, you'd be like, wow, like that's amazing. And so yeah, that's what I would do.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for being on the channel and Kenneth's channel. I do thank you a lot, for everything. You really are inspiring. I know everything that happened, it was difficult.
Yeah.
But I feel like without you knowing, you touched a lot of hearts, especially at church. My personal situation, I've told you, but for those people who don't know, I was ready to leave church, and I was ready to give up on church and give up on God and everything that had to do with that environment. And one day I came to church just to go. Honestly, I was going to leave, and they were during the ministry, and God used Josh to talk to me and tell me that that basically if I didn't make the move, God was gonna not disown me, but it was up to me, pretty much. It was up to me to make that step. It was up to me for if I really want God in my life. I can't keep pretty much fighting God and blaming him for stuff that wasn't his fault. And well, yeah, I went up for them to pray for me that day. But after that day, everything in my life, took a turn, and people know me and know how I used to be and how I used to talk and how I used to act and stuff like that. And the person that I am today, most of that was, thanks to God for him using Josh and helping him get through his situation so that he can help others, regain their faith, and he's still, helping others. So thank you so much.
Of course, my pleasure.
And I hope this video, speaks to a lot of people, and thank you. Bye, guys.
Let's get it!